Welcome to La La Land and welcome to my PDC. My name is Nola and I'll be discussing our farm today. Our farm is named La La Land. It's a 30-hectare farm which is found in Gauteng, South Africa. Currently we live in Midrand, which is a area between Johannesburg and Pretoria, and it's 100 kilometers as the crow flies to La La Land. This is the Vredefort Dome, which is a meteor impact zone, which happened millions of years ago. It sent reverberations through all this rock and created the Magaliesberg Mountains, which has turned the rocks from lying in a horizontal way into a vertical way. And we are at the tail end of the Magaliesberg, and these are some of the rocks on our mountains that were influenced by that impact, and they're also standing on end. We're very close to the border between Mpumalanga and Gauteng. Our closest town is Bronkhorstspruit, and it has a dam which is close by and the Kusile power station. These are our sectors, our biggest being fire. Fire is quite prevalent in our area. We thankfully haven't had a fire for the last 3 or 4 years. Then this side is the glyphosate and the power plant, or in this direction. The wind comes from this direction, hits the mountain, and then comes through this channel here by the river. So that's why I've put our direction of the wind flows through our farm is actually from this direction here because of that. And then this is our sun tracks. That's our winter sun track and our summer sun track. And then our final sector is the crime sector, which has had the biggest impact on us so far and the decisions we've decided to make. The political climate in South Africa is a little bit on edge at the moment, so if you want to find out more, I'll put a few videos here. Joel Salatin was here recently, so I've just put up his video that he did after he got back. Then the more on climate, we are in a USDA 10A hardiness zone. So it doesn't get too cold in winter. We usually don't go below 0 degrees, but it can get a little bit lower, I suppose, in freak times. We're in a Mesic Highveld grassland bioregion, and our climate classification is warm temperate, which means that we get dry winters and wet, warm summers. A bit more about climate: quite sunny, hot, dry, and very little wind. The entire farm currently is Zone 5, as we have put everything on hold. I've homeschooled all my children. 2 of them are finished school, got 1 left, and when he has finished school, we would like to move to the farm, and then we'll start developing it from there. Currently, this is the water situation on the farm. We've got runoff coming from the next door farm through this fence, and we have runoff coming down the side through this ditch that they've dug. The water used to run down here and into their field and destroy their field, so now they've just dug a trench. And then here we've got runoff from the mountain. We've got these stone walls that the previous owners must have put in there, and that collects the water and presumably sends it down into this area. So what we would like to do then is to build a swale on this contour over here, which you can see better here, and then that will catch this water. It will catch the water running down the side, and then the water that comes off the mountain should also go into this area, rehydrate it, and then maybe a bit later put another swale there, and then it'll rehydrate that area. Over here we have some terraces around the house which are a little bit dilapidated, which we'd like to fix up, and we'll grow our food on there. And then this is a wetland which is already quite wet, but we want to repair. This is a drone photo of animal tracks on the grazing land, and these are the animals that have made those tracks on the grazing land. The only ones we haven't seen with our own eyes are the leopard and the otter. We've seen otter poos, and we've seen the leopard's cave over here. All the others we've seen either with our eyes or on the trail cam that we set up there. There's this most special little guy here. He's a black-footed cat. He's the smallest wild cat in Africa, and we're lucky enough to have one on our farm. Okay, then this is the proposed future zones of the farm. This red line around the zone 2 is an electrified fence, which is what we are going to need if we're going to start building and going to live there, because the crime is very scary and high in this country. Okay, zone 0 is the house, and it's 225 square meters. When we bought the farm, this is what the house looked like. Currently, this is what it looks like. Okay, we demolished quite a lot. but we started putting a roof structure on, and then these are plans in action that we are busy working on for how we want to build it. We're going to install solar energy on the roof. We're looking at a 5 to 10 kilowatt system. There's no grid tie-in for us. The whole infrastructure in South Africa is busy crumbling at the moment. So yeah, there's no grid tie-in, so we have to be completely self-sufficient. But as you can see, we have sunshine is a fantastic resource in South Africa, so we're going to take full advantage of the situation. Then our rainwater. We've got a roof area of 215 square meters, so potentially should be able to harvest about 100,000 litres per year from this particular roof. We're going to have two 5,000 litre tanks because the water runs in different directions, so we'll just keep a tank on each side. Okay, then access. At the moment, we only have the one access, which you drive in and drive to the front of the house. In the future, once we're living here inside our electrified area and our house is up and running and we start developing zones 1 and 2, we want to change the access to go behind the house. There will be an olive grove here, and then another road that goes down where we will have a permaculture orchard hopefully there. But this road then gives us access firstly to the house, and then secondly to all these terraces that are on the sides here, so that if we need to carry heavy things, then we can bring it with a car. Okay, we're going to take a better look at Zone 1. This is Zone 1 in detail. Firstly, the terraces. Those are going to be into structured food growing beds, so our vegetables, herbs, etc., etc. We want to build a nursery for fruit trees and perennial plants that we can populate the rest of the farm. This back area is an embankment at the moment. We want to do earthworks and build terraces here. Use gabions as the walls because we've got an abundance of rocks on the property, and excess soil will be moving into Zone 2, which we'll discuss just now. This is our grey water and black water treatment, which I'll discuss in the next slide. So this is the system going into the reed bed, and this is the system going directly into the actual beds. Okay, the black water system, we'll be using cacao pod. It's installed into the ground. The black water goes directly into it. It gets pumped from chamber to chamber. There are microorganisms in it that clean the water, and then reusable water is sent out of the system, as well as the grey water from the bathroom, which will be at the back of the house here. That will also then come out the same sort of place as the cacao pod. It will go into a reed bed here, and then it will go into a little pond, which is outside the bedrooms. Hopefully have some fish and some frogs there to take care of the mosquitoes, and excess water then will be able to drain to either beds or to trees. And then the kitchen grey water will be Brad Lancaster style, and the pipes will go directly into perennial beds to water the plants. Okay, going on to Zone 2. This is the embankment. We will take excess soil from there and level out this land here to build a shed. Below the shed will be a wood processing area. Below that will be the chickens. Below that will be the compost, using gravity for firstly water, and then for getting the products from one layer to the next layer to the next layer, and then also easy access into each of these terraces that we're going to have. Then we've got some existing fruit trees, and we're going to add quite a diversity of other trees into that system to build a beautiful food forest at the bottom section here. And then we're going to have rabbits, closing the system with the rabbits using the meat, the fur, the manure, and their natural characteristics of breeding to create a really awesome rabbit system. At the top here we have a eucalyptus forest. We're already beekeepers, so we're going to put some of our beehives here at the top, and then we'll have some mushrooms there as well. We're also hoping to harvest some of the water off this road and then use it for irrigation through the Zone 1 and 2 areas. This is Zone 3 now. Basically, food forest, which is very likely going to change. Here's a permaculture orchard that's going to have that road access. The olive grove, where the wind pumps through here to use the wind for wind pollination for the olives. And then the poplar forest and the river are our relaxation zones. Just a few photos of the forest and our family enjoying it and replenishing our souls. And the river, having waterfall showers and going for paddles and swims and just general joy. Zone 4 is going to be mostly for livestock grazing, as you can see on this side. There's a lot of prickly pear already on this side, so we are going to develop that a bit more, put a bit more diversity in there. Got some dragon fruits going. And then the wetland, we're going to fence off. There's a lot of the neighbours' animals that come through here, the cows and the goats, so it's wrecking that area a bit, so we're going to fence it off and probably build a dam in there, and then we'd like to fix up this riparian zone. Just a bit more about the wetland. This is 3 months of no rain, and this is how much water is in the surface. So that's why we really want to work on that. And this is in summer, you can't see the surface water, but it's because it's so green. I think the grass is quite long by that point. And then we've got our zone 5, which is very rocky and quite steep. And so we're going to use it as observation points and have a view on our beautiful space that we have below us. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for your time and for your inspiration and the most amazing few months. I just feel enriched, I feel empowered, and I feel excited about my future, and I thank you.